main one. They extract THC from the cannabis plant. And what they're finding in the research is that these ingredients, these many chemicals, work best in combination, not pulled out and isolated. So this gives you an idea of the many products, the modern uses for the cannabis plant. This is cannabis and hemp. They're two related plants. Hemp does not contain much THC. You'd have to smoke a telephone pole to get a buzz from it, and I don't think anybody's going to do that. But you'll notice that sort of at 2 o'clock there is THC, and that's the chemical that gives that euphoric effect, the high that was always publicized. Oh, a bunch of hippies getting high and eating potato chips. But there are all these other products that come from the plant. Medical cannabis, again, there's 111 cannabinoids discovered so far, and they're now discovering the terpenes, and there are people in this room who know more about terpenes than I do. As time goes by, they're discovering more and more terpenes and their medical effects. Sanjay Gupta, he used to be against medical cannabis. He did some research and he did a whole series for CNN, and it turns out now he says, oh, well, I saw children who were epileptic who didn't have seizures because they were taking cannabidiol, CBDs. 76% of doctors approve of medical cannabis use. The research, why are we going backwards? Ah. Yeah, right, makes you go backwards.
Excuse me, sir, I hate to interrupt you. This is a wonderful presentation.
Sunday, let him finish.
Maybe you should work on opiates and...
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
okay.
a different topic.
Sure.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Actually, that brings up an interesting point.
Yeah.
The states,
Here first.
the states in the United States, oh, she's leaving. The states in the United States that have legal cannabis are experiencing lower opioid deaths and lower opioid addiction problems because the cannabis products are being used to help people get off the opioids. So the medical cannabis is showing useful in a whole range of physical conditions and mental conditions. This book, Marijuana Gateway to Health, he went around, people don't realize that here in the United States, the federal law for funding cannabis research stipulated that the research had to be focused on negative effects. It couldn't be focused on anything positive. But Israel and Egypt and a whole bunch of other countries, England, were doing research on the positive medical impacts. Dr. Andrew Weil says every official should read this book. From 1850 to 1937, cannabis was used as the prime medicine for more than 100 separate illnesses or diseases in the U.S. pharmacopoeia. The 1937 Marijuana Tax Act made marijuana is a made-up name, by the way. They did marijuana. They wanted to make it seem like Mexican, so you get a little racist, anti-cannabis element in there. It was passed over the objections of the American Medical Association. It was developed in secret without a chance for doctors to participate, and it lumped hemp, which doesn't have THC, in with cannabis. The corporate interests that supported the prohibition, wood, paper, nylon, and other synthetic fibers, pharmaceuticals, aspirin, all of these companies were in favor of prohibition because they were threatened by a product that anybody can grow in their backyard or in their basement or wherever and replace the profits of these companies. We're suffering from 80 years of unscientific propaganda. You'll notice in the top right, he's sticking a needle into the woman's arm, as if you could even consume cannabis that way. Just ridiculous nonsense. Weed with roots in hell. The United States has way more deaths from legal drugs than illegal drugs. There are 0 deaths recorded from cannabis. This gives the annual deaths in the United States for tobacco, poor diet, exercise. Notice that more people die from peanuts than die from cannabis, right? That's data. We should base our policy on science, right, not ideology. During World War II, the federal government took hemp out of the Marijuana Tax Act and made it legal, and there was all of this information about, hey, this is a great crop, and it is. There's about 50,000 products that can be made from this plant. It's one of the most versatile plants in the world. The thing on the left is a $10 bill that was issued by the federal government that was printed on hemp, and it shows a picture of farmers harvesting hemp. So it was okay to kill Nazis, but not to cure people of diseases or other industrial uses. Hemp goes back 10,000 years. It provides essential fatty acids more than any source. It's second only to soybeans in complete protein. It's more digestible than soy. The hemp fiber is longer, stronger, more absorbent, and more insulative than cotton. And it's great bedding for ranch animals. At Feather River College, we have a bachelor's degree, the only bachelor's degree, and it is for ranch management. It's equine and ranch management. Hemp is a profitable crop. $500 million in estimated US retail sales, and I should say most of that raw hemp is coming in from China, Canada, Bulgaria, outside the country where we could be growing it ourselves. It's a great crop for the soil. It's easy to grow, conditions of the soil, requires no chemicals, and it produces 4 times as much fiber per acre as pine trees. You just don't want to grow hemp close to cannabis that's being grown for medical or recreational purposes, because if they cross-pollinate, it weakens the cannabis. 26 states so far have decriminalized hemp, and there's research going on. The U.S. Department of Agriculture passed a law, the Congress passed a USDA law last year, making research on hemp legal. UC Davis has a course, The Physiology of Cannabis, and they're going to have an advanced class for the medical uses at the UC Davis Medical School. And these are some books on cannabis. I won't bore you with the details, but they're books that are very scientifically based, dealing with medical impacts. And we have a chance to create jobs here, locally rooted jobs that are good for the environment and good for the economy. So we have an opportunity to craft this law in a very sensible way, and that's my email if you want to compliment or complain. Thanks very much for your attention. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Kevin. Just wanted to let you know, so Kevin we've already seen the presentation. He's made a presentation at our one of our regular meetings over in Quincy, and so we wanted to make sure that that presentation was available to hear on the road, so folks that can't make those meetings during the day over in Quincy, that they had the same opportunity to hear it as well.
Will it be online?
Huh?
Will it be online?
I am not sure if he has it online or not.
No, on your county.
It's not on the county website, no, but he can email it to you out there.
No, I mean for everybody else, because we seem to have a lack of being able to connect, so I feel like that should be something.
Well, I can look into that, you bet. So our next presenter, same thing, or next individual that's going to talk is Ralph Coney. He had a presentation also at one of our meetings. And so I'd like to have him come up, and then after Ralph, we will do our public comment, and that'll be, I'll kind of explain the overview on that after Ralph's done. Thank you.
Hey Ralph, I have a question. Who are you? My name is Ralph Coney. I'm a 45-year resident in Queens County. I used to live here in Greenville in the late 60s and 70s while I was going to school.
Why don't we get you on a microphone up here real quick.
I have a handout over here that I'll go over. I've been involved in the cannabis group as a spectator.
Mic to your mouth. Hold on.
I've been involved with the cannabis group as a spectator from the public for about the last 7 or 8 meetings. And the more and more that I got involved in it, we felt that it's not really representing the neighbors and residents of Plumas County. I developed a page here. My group has already studied the draft code, and we're ready to make some preliminary changes to it. I'm just going to go over those points with you. The first thing I'd like to do is let everybody know, if you're not in favor
Hold it up
of
to your-
growing
I'm sorry,
cannabis in
hold it up
Plumas
to your-
County, you still have that option to let your supervisor know that. Just because this group is presenting a grow option, there is a no-grow option that you can voice your opinion on. I don't want to take much time on that. I will just say that all of our adjoining counties, Butte, Lassen, Sierra, Shasta, Tehama, and Yuba are no-grow counties. So if Clovis County goes to this aggressive grow, I believe you're going to see a lot of people moving into our area to do these kind of grows. And unfortunately, that's going to disrupt and disroot some of our existing growers right now. Actually, I have a proposal. I call it option 2, option 1 being no grow, option 3 being the group's grow. Option 2 grow is an extremely limited grow. I've had articles in the paper the last 3 weeks. Some of you may have read that. In my handout, I have copies of those. And I'll also be moving a lot to Calaveras County for some of the problems that's been going on in Calaveras County. The first recommendation we have is that no commercial cultivation in manufacturing in residential zones. That's that red zone, excuse me. That's the blue zone. That's the blue zone. And generally speaking, those are smaller properties. Right now, they have a 20-foot setback with a 7-foot high fence. According to this spreadsheet, you can grow 500 square feet and up to 2,500 square feet in those zones, covered by a 7-foot high fence. As some people know, cannabis grows 10, 12, 14 feet tall. And it's in neighborhoods. The second recommendation we have is no commercial cultivation in suburban, rural, or recreational zones. That's the yellow, orange, and pink areas on the spreadsheet, unless you have 20 acres. So you can see that this recommendation is really restrictive compared to what they're proposing here. Third recommendation we have is all cultivation sites require road access to current CAL FIRE safe requirements, except in ag ground. This requirement is for the health and safety of our first responders. There is some wording in the code on page 29 that deals with that, but it seems ironic that if you want to build a 1,200 square foot house on a piece of property, you have to go through and build a fire safe driveway. Yet you can have 500, 2,500, 44,000 square feet of commercial cannabis, making hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you don't have to put the same road standard in that protects our first responders. The fourth item I have is all cultivation sites require a dwelling on the property. In other words, we don't want to see zoned property that just hasn't been built out yet turned into commercial properties. That's not what our zoning is for. For the last 20, 30 years, we've managed these zones, and now it seems like they're throwing that out and they're letting you convert into a commercial operation. The fifth item is no type 12 micro business. Type 12 grows and type permitting allows growing, distribution, sales on site. So if you have a neighbor on a 3-acre parcel and he has a type 12 permit, you're going to have traffic, people going up the road by your house to purchase marijuana. Number 6, agricultural APNGA. All grow types available except type 12. And we're recommending we increase the setbacks to 200 feet. We're asking the agricultural people to use discretion in placing structures in order to protect the public's view of meadows and open space. We feel it's not our position to tell an agricultural zone person not to grow a legal product.
So as for the S3 that you just mentioned, that's agriculture and horticulture, so.
No, it's not.
Okay, so we're not gonna get into back and forth. Go ahead.
It's suburban. Agricultural
Look it up.
AP and GA.
We are not going to get into a back and forth.
Thank you. So we really encourage most of this growing to be done in agricultural, industrial, and limited in commercial. Some of these old mill sites, some of these big structures that we see around, excellent place to be growing commercial cannabis indoors.
Number 8, dispensaries. We recommend just a maximum of 4 dispensaries in Plumas County. Possible 1 in Chester, 1 in Greenville, 1 in Quincy, and possibly 1 in Portola. Portola is the city, so that's up to Portola to decide if they want. And then we recommend each community to determine if they want one. We recommend more public meetings. In other words, if Greenville doesn't want one and the public meeting determines that, that's their discretion. The 9th item, we recommend a canopy tax of $20 a square foot to be paid by the growers. That's a recommendation of 10% of the street value.
Yeah, you're making that.
In my handout on the last page, I have an economical breakdown of what the street value of marijuana is. And you'll see by Butte County estimates and others that one marijuana plant is worth around $2,000. A 500 square foot greenhouse can have 30 marijuana plants in it, worth $60,000 to $100,000. They're talking about this proposed code to be a development for the community, and yet when we're asking them to contribute a fair share to the general fund, we get comments, yet they're making $2,000 a plant, street value. And it's even higher in some cases. The 10th item I have is on the zoning clearance, a certificate, ZAC. We would like to see added to that all adjacent neighbors shall be notified and have 30 days to respond in writing on any concerns or acceptance of adjacent manufacturing and cultivations. In other words, neighbors have the right to know. Our position is the residents and the neighbors in this community need to drive this marijuana code, not this board and not what's being presented here today. Thank you.
All righty, it's 6:45. So public comment. I see most of you folks that have been in here. Katie. Well, I'm not done yet. I'm going to do a little precursor here. Public comment. For those of you that have public comment tonight, we're going to ask that you come up and speak into the microphone here. We'll limit to 3 minutes. I'll have it on my little phone here. And if you leave this meeting, or if you sit down and you think of something later, or something you wanted to say, please feel free to mail in your public comments to the planning department. We can take written public comment up till the end of the last meeting, correct? Plus, we also have 4 other meetings in other communities for those of you that like to drive or travel that would like to go over there and give public comment again. We will be recording this so that we can take down all of the comments and get an accurate read on what folks are saying. We'll go through those public comments and kind of go through duplicate ones and so on and so forth, and then list them and bring them back in a meeting probably in sometime in August in Quincy to go over and talk about. One other quick thing too, if you hear some folks or somebody that has the same comment or the exact same comment that you wanted to make of some kind, and you didn't want to get up and reiterate the whole thing again, which you're more than welcome to, but then you're more than likely to, more than welcome to stand up and say, well, I agree with that individual's comment, or something along those lines. Again, number 1, be kind and courteous to each and every one of us in here. We are here listening to you. We're not going to have any real back and forth conversation. We're here to take public comment. And if there's any small clarifying questions that maybe staff could answer or something, we will give that a shot. But we're definitely not going to get into a back and forth because, as we found out over the years, or at least I have, we could be here all night long. So, with that being said, I will take the first public comment.
Hello. Oh, let me get the feel of the microphone here. Yes, to let people know you kind of want to get your lips onto the windscreen. That's how you can be heard. Otherwise, you know, the people here maybe can hear you. So first, I want to thank everybody. I want to give everybody here a huge round of applause. I hope you'll join me because everybody's made a huge contribution to this process, and I think everybody needs to be honored. I'd love to hear the critical comments because we got one chance to do this right from the beginning. Let's do it right. And I think we have an excellent start with the draft document. I believe that is a very, very great starting point. And I think everybody here is making wise comments. Some maybe, you know, nobody has 100% right, so it's an amalgam of things that actually work for the whole communities. Neighbors have the right to a certain piece of life. That's what zoning exists. At the same time, we in Plumas County have an opportunity to create an industry that could dwarf our current timber industry. And think about that, because that's still one of the major economic engines here in our county. And we could do something that would multiply it by multiple times, maybe 4, 5, 6, 10 times, and that means taxes. And I've done calculations and I'm working with people in the state government on policy towards how that's going to be implemented and engaging that at the present time and getting statistics on what's happening right at the current moment. And by my estimate, at the present moment, at the current amount of cannabis being grown in Plumas County, we would see tax revenues, if we had a 15% tax revenue, of $1.5 million. So it's a little hard to say because this is a black market process, so nobody's keeping records. And that is the big thing that we all need to remember, is that we are moving from a black market to an open market. Black markets corrupt economies. They corrupt governments, they corrupt communities. We are making a huge process to move towards an open economy with this, which is going to make all of our lives better, all of our communities better. So we need to think really big, and particularly on the agricultural end of it, because this product and the market, which the prices being quoted, I think, are very unrealistic to make judgments in the way the market is likely to change and values are likely to drop. Costs are likely to drop. So thank you very much. Let's make this a proactive county. Let's give cannabis agriculture a chance to operate, and let's allow the people that need to do little personal grows do that freely and within good concert with the neighbors. Thank you.